Canada is getting ready to host hundreds of thousands of visitors, potentially, during the FIFA 2026 World Cup next summer. The big question is, where is everybody going to stay? There are reports of hotel prices already starting to climb, rooms getting booked up, which means visitors will need to find alternatives potentially in these cities. Joining us now to break all of this down is travel journalist Lauren Christie. Lauren, this could be potentially a big problem.
Could be a big problem. I think we'll be okay here in Toronto. It's Vancouver that's suffering a little bit in terms of the availability of hotel rooms.
Can we start there then? Okay, because we know there are around 13,000 hotel rooms in the downtown core, right? What do we know right now about availability and rates?
Well, the rates, if you go online right now, if you go online and look and just pull up, for example, anything in the middle of June, we looked at a week there, and the rates are very high, and some of the hotel rooms are showing already sold out. However, I would just caution, a big part of that is that, you know, it's not until December that the matches are going to be announced, and then it's not until January that FIFA, who is actually holding whole hotels right now to accommodate media, VIP, and the teams, then starts to allocate their blocks, and there is an expectation that there will be hotels that release a lot of rooms back into the inventory. So it looks pretty dire right now, but I would wait until January to really get a clear picture on what those hotels are going to look like.
I know we don't know how many people are going to be coming into Vancouver and into Toronto to see these games, but when you hear something like Vancouver has 13,000 hotel rooms downtown, it doesn't sound like very many for the number of people we are expecting.
No, I mean, and they actually, what they say is, what I've read is 350,000 visitors are expected between the middle of June and early July to see the 7 games that are taking place in Vancouver. So it is a little bit concerning, and you know, Vancouver, Destination Vancouver has even raised it. You know, they've gone down in the number of hotel rooms in Vancouver over the last few years, not up. They lost about 500 in the last 3 years. There are some in construction, but they are looking at other accommodations. So they have dorms, for example, UBC is opening up, you know, college dorms, universities are opening up to go. Airbnb and VRBO
I want to ask you about this.
They're on it. They know what's going on. Well, what it means is they're well aware of the issue. They're working with the City of Vancouver to open up more short-term rental. They are working with people who are not typically hosts to become temporary hosts. So they have a plan. They actually have Airbnb has a 3-year deal with FIFA. So they're working not just on this FIFA round, but other ones as well. So you can also stay, if you want to get really creative, you can stay at campgrounds, you can stay in RV parks. And the other thing is, you know, when you say those 13,000 hotel rooms in Vancouver and the ones in Toronto as well, expand out a little bit. You may have to stay outside of, you know, in the larger Metro Vancouver area or the GTA, and maybe your commute's going to be a little bit longer, but it adds about another 10,000 hotel room nights in both cities if you expand it out into the greater area.
When we look at Toronto, it has just under 24,000 hotel rooms in the downtown.
Yeah.
What do rates look like? Let's talk pricing.
You know, it's interesting. Toronto is doing a little bit of a different strategy. If you look at the rates in Toronto, you know, pick a week in June compared to a week in August after FIFA is gone, they're not that much higher. I mean, they're not cheap rates. Toronto, we know, has changed over the years. You know, we're talking like, you know, $600 rooms. There we go. 1 room, 2 guests. You know, it's not cheap, but it's not astronomical. Whereas if you look at some of the Vancouver hotel room prices, it's almost double that. You know, like you're looking at either sold out scenarios, $1,200. But again, that's all part of a supply and demand strategy. And I truly believe that once the final room blocks are allocated in January, you will see those Vancouver prices come down. I don't think you'll see the Toronto ones come down, but I think you'll see the Vancouver ones come down.
I want to stick with Toronto for just a second when you talk about short-term rentals, because there are rules in place, there are laws in place about who can rent out a room in their house or just have a vacant place, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna head out of town, I'm gonna rent my house out on Airbnb, but currently you can't really do that under the structure that exists. So when you say Airbnb and VRBO or Vrbo are working together, is that one of the things
they're working together with the municipalities to say, listen, we need to do something here, let's work with it. I don't know what the results are yet, but Airbnb has told me that they are working actively to do this and create an atmosphere where you can have more temporary hosts, because it is a problem.
It is a problem. On top of the higher hotel prices that we're seeing, Toronto also has this higher tax, like this hotel tax. So what is it? Guests will have to pay 8.5%. That kicked in June. It's going to last until what, July of 2026?
Correct. So they took their municipal accommodations tax and added some onto it to cover some of the costs. So any guest, doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether you're an Ontario resident or a Canadian or wherever, for that period of time. It's the same in Vancouver. Vancouver, actually, they added some onto there as well, but they started theirs back in 2023. But both of those taxes will be eliminated at some point after the games, or so they say. So it's causing a little bit extra pricing for people visiting Toronto during that period. But, you know, the one thing I'll say, they're using that money. If you remember Taylor Swift, when Taylor Swift was here, there was a lot of talk about the hotel prices. But then when Taylor came, it was all about the vibe in the city and all the great things that were going on. So on a positive note, both cities are planning to use that money for like major fan fests. So whether you're even attending a FIFA event or not, there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on in the city. And so I'm hoping that it will be similar to Taylor. And by the time it comes, the prices will have settled a bit and the fun will be in the air. Let's revisit this conversation in January. Yes. Okay. Lauren Christie, travel journalist, we appreciate your time. Thanks.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.